Hello everyone, I hope everyone can see me and hear me well. So if you do so, please drop me a comment in the comment section, um, regardless on the platform you're on. So this is my first ever live. So I thought of doing this thing. Um, the idea behind it, maybe people are interested to see how I get things through when I do a project, even a small thing, a feature. It could be with a tool that I play around with, figure it out, and then make a video. Some people expressed such interest, so I thought, let me try it out. Everyone's doing these live things now, and I'll see how people react. If not so well, I'll not do it ever again. If it's good, I'm gonna keep doing it. So, fine tuning. So, this is something that finally I got access to when it comes to fine tuning of ChatGPT. And the thing is about OpenAI is there are many things that happen, but not necessarily things that everyone has access to. So, let me just, as usual, jump straight to the screen. So, this is my screen now. And this is my profile as an organization. If you create a paid profile, you're considered more or less an organization, regardless being an individual or a group. Okay, so I've just hit 2 weeks back, I think, usage tier 4. So this is the based on the limits, basically the consumption, basically how much money you've paid, how much time you've used the platform, right? Especially, I think maybe more linked to the API usage. But anyhow, here you have obviously the limits of each model, the normal things, and then you have a usage limit which also goes up with your tier. So probably if you have the membership, you go check it. If you're lower than tier 3 or tier 4, as I am, you're going to find a smaller usage limit. So basically, if I want to create an application, I have a good amount of monthly ceiling to burn. Well, if you get through $5,000 of API calls of OpenAI, you're doing really well, my friend. So it's just one of the perks that you get. I don't know if it's a gamification of OpenAI, it's intentional, or it's just to manage the bandwidth. Probably the bandwidth. If you know better, please write me a comment in the comment section. But eventually, there's many things that I always wanted to review or look at, but I couldn't just because of my usage. I do use it a lot. Most of my automations have one or two sessions with OpenAI, so I spend quite a lot of money. Don't tell my wife. I don't think she knows how much I do there. But basically, now I got access to tier 4. And here they're telling me, if you notice on the bottom of the screen, what it takes to go for the next tier, which is at least $1,000 spent on the API since account creation. I didn't hit that yet, and at least 30 days passed since first successful payment. Now, regardless of this, the interesting thing that happened to me when I got into tier 4 is I got access to multiple things. Now, one of them is, for many of you, it could be interesting. For some, it could be not. And this is not the main topic for today. The main topic is fine tuning, but I thought this is interesting to share. This is threads. So I have now a UI, an interface basically, that I can see all my threads. Either I open with ChatGPT through code, through Zapier, through whatever. So I can look at those threads and review the content. So for example, this is one recent. And yeah, this is a normal session. So it's a normal session that I've done and it's captured here. Let me show you something that could be a thread from Zapier automation. Yep, so this is a Zapier automation. This is with an assistant. So this is the user, this is the run instruction, and this is the LinkedIn master. LinkedIn master is a project I'm working on. It's an assistant, basically, OpenAI assistant that I will share at some point in the future, hopefully, if it works, if I succeed in whatever I'm trying to achieve here. You will get an insight to what I've done there. Okay, so the interesting thing about that, just recently I've done a long episode. I know for most people it's boring. That's on YouTube, where I went through AI fundamentals beyond ChatGPT. I know, like, the interesting thing now, everyone's going online looking at ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, Bard, or whatever Google is calling their AI today, and all these things. So I said, there are things when it comes to AI that we need to understand, to really understand what it is. What we see, what we experience with ChatGPT is just the user interface. Although that's not our topic, it's very important to understand these fundamentals. I will not cover them. I will just refer to you to this video, which has everything. And I'm not by any means trying to promote it, but it is really a good one. And I put lots of effort to give it to you to a level where I walk you through the concepts, and by the end you can create a demo of a model and train it and play with it. So the reason I'm putting it on the screen now is, as you go into areas like fine tuning, anything beyond the scratching the surface of AI, of just a UI where you basically send it language and you receive language back, anything beyond that, at least you have to have a basic understanding of AI. You don't need to be an AI engineer to get into it. But basically here, what I've done in that episode, and just that's quickly, we looked at artificial neural networks. We looked at the difference between artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. We looked at the concept of an epoch. And again, I'm going through those again because today we're going to touch on them. So an epoch, which is the number of times you run a training data to look at, the activation function, the confusion matrix, and performance. How do we understand the performance of our AI model or machine learning model that we put together? The type of neural networks. So here I'm looking at feed-forward type of neural networks to convolutional neural networks. Just high-level things. I went over during that session. Some quick math. We looked at that. This is where things get crazy. I'm not an expert there, but at least with what I know or what I found online, I shared it with you. Okay, and then other concepts like regularization, history, bias, and variance. Like some of them, even I forget what those means, but there are ones that are fundamental. You have to understand. So one of them is bias and variance. CNN, it's not the channel. This is the convolutional neural networks. Kernels and convolutions, which are more linked to visual type of AI, image analyzing or generating type of AI networks. And then we go to the tools where we build some of our own networks, like TensorFlow, Playground, TensorSpace, 2D visualization of a convolutional neural network. So if you go through that, which is a long one, I think it was, it's 1 hour, 20 minutes. I know it's long. If you spend the time, I'm digesting so much information into so little time. Now, do it when you have the time if you want. It will help you understand what I'm going to cover from this point on. Now, the exciting thing, what made me feel happy this week during the week, is that I became tier 5, and then I logged into my account and I find that I have access to fine-tuning. And fine-tuning, before we go, at least there is an interface within the OpenAI website. So you can click on this tab here, fine-tuning. I don't know, it's behind my face. So if I put the full screen without my face in it, you can see it there, right? So this is the fine-tuning tab right here. And let me go back. Maybe you want to see my beautiful face, maybe not. Okay. So fine-tuning, and maybe it's worthwhile to put up a picture of a neural network. Artificial Yeah, I think this is the right one for us to look at. I hope it's clear. Let me open it in full screen. Wow, okay, this is big enough. So again, in the episode I created on YouTube, I basically explain all of these things. Now, it is the artificial version of a human brain neural cell, right? This is our neural network. Put millions and billions of those together, and you have an artificial neural network, right? Now, this is the fundamental basic building block. And you have inputs, you have weights. One of them is a bias. This is the bias. And then you have a function, an activation function here, and then you have an output. And basically those are inputs, they are running through a function, and then there's an output. Put thousands of these outputs that go into being inputs on their own, and there's layers getting built into that network. At some point, you're gonna get some text, knowledge out of it, data, you're gonna get decisions, you're gonna get image out of it. I explain all of it in the video. Why I'm just showing this again? Because some of the most important aspects that is basically what defines a model is the weightage, right? So this is what people, I think, get millions of dollars to really get right. So if you calibrate your model with the right weightage factors that we get here, this is what makes an AI model do well or not. And the same goes for the bias as well. I think this is one of the complex concepts to get right. Now, when you freeze a model, so when, for example, when OpenAI says we have a model, we released a new model, what I understand, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, this is basically them freezing the weights. They freeze the weights after lots of calculation, lots of improvement, and the improvement could be computational power improvement, definitely mathematical equation improvements, and then basically testing and seeing the outcome coming out of that model, maybe the quality of the data. Because essentially AI is three things, right? It's computational power, data, and math equations. So it comes to you standard. So you get OpenAI, ChatGPT 4, this is the standard weight. We play with it, you might do better in the prompting, you get a lot better outcome. I have also an episode teaching you around ChatGPT and how to prompt it. You can check that out. But what if you want to modify it more? And this is not an open source, so that's a tricky part as well. So I want to fine tune. This is where fine tuning comes in. So I want to fine tune this closed model AI, which is OpenAI's ChatGPT, to more of my own kind of needs and requirements. Now I have that access. Not everyone has it. Now I have it. So if I'm building an application, I want less random kind of outcomes to my customers. I can fine tune it. And when we fine tune, it's not only working with the training data and the test data, which we'll look at now. Also, it looks at the database in terms of documents that we provided. So I can fine tune across everything that I offer my model to be the basis of the service or the outcome that at one point will deliver some information to my customers. Okay, so basically what we're doing here, we're taking the weights and the biases of ChatGPT 4 and we're fine-tuning them. So let's go to a little bit more detailed input from OpenAI themselves. So this is the interface, and we will come back here to do an actual demo of fine-tune. And I think in Playground, in OpenAI's Playground, I can interact with it, right? So I will not complicate it. I still didn't explore it really well, but I'll just use the UI that OpenAI is offering. I will not do it through code, definitely not today. And if you know me, if you follow my channel, I'm not a coder. I sometimes have to go into code, and I do everything through ChatGPT. So AI helps someone like me basically act like a coder. And by the way, a really big developer recently, he's a friend, but he's someone I respect when it comes to developing. He gave me a nice input and said, Samer, the things you do is things that developers do. I told him it's all powered and thanks to OpenAI and ChatGPT. And I encourage everyone to try to do more with that. Okay, fine tuning. So this is the introduction. Fine-tuning lets you get more out of the models available through the API by providing higher quality results than prompting, ability to train on more examples than can fit in a prompt, token savings due to shorter prompts, lower latency requests. So there are four main benefits for training your own model, and clearly this is nothing that they're rolling into the interface, which makes sense. It's something that you do through the API calls with OpenAI. So basically, you can create, I think, an assistant, do it through things like Zapier, and definitely through code, right? Okay. So OpenAI's text generation models have been pre-trained on a vast amount of text. To use the models effectively, and this is what we were discussing just now, we include instructions on sometimes several examples in a prompt. Sorry, we include instructions and sometimes several examples in a prompt. Okay, so using demonstrations to show how to perform a task is often called few-shot learning. So that's a new term for me. I don't know if it's an internal term, it's a well-known term in AI. Internal term within OpenAI. Fine-tuning improves on few-shot learning by training on many more examples than can fit into a prompt. Okay, I'm letting you achieve better results on wide number of tasks. Once a model has been fine-tuned, you won't need to provide as many examples in the prompt. This saves costs and enables lower latency requests. Okay. So what we need to do here is we need to prepare and upload training data, train a new fine-tuned model, okay, evaluate results and go back to step 1 if needed, and then use your fine-tuned model. Okay. So this is going basically through the normal process of training, testing, training again if you need, testing again, and then playing around with it and deploying it. Now we go into the important things here. So visit our pricing page to understand. So clearly, when they put this here, we'll have to check it out. Clearly, we're going to pay for training our model. So this is the pricing. This is the language models. Okay, we see here ChatGPT 4. Okay, let's scroll down. Yep, you see that here. Fine-tuning models. So be careful. Let me say it that way. Be careful. If you want to play with this, understand that you're going to pay for it. So whatever I do today, I'm going to be charged for just to demo this to you. And for some people, it doesn't make sense. For many other, it's worthwhile to really train your model to be more predictable in terms of the outcome it delivers to you or your users, to your use case or your users or customers. I would do it for certain use cases. For example, if I do a lot of that, by the way. So I have an assistant that does posts for me. I have so many assistants running at all times. And this is the world of AI. This is how I can run a full-time job with everything I do here. So one of those assistants, I keep always through prompting, and I honestly, sometimes it's frustrating. I want to get certain kind of output from that assistant that in many cases I am not really able to do it spot on through prompting. So that's a challenging part. Now with this, hypothetically, if I can do it to an assistant online, I need to understand, hopefully, if I can do it to an assistant and then reconnect that assistant through Zapier, I can do a lot with this. But if I can fine tune it through examples, so basically I can write or take 100 snippets of things I've wrote as posts, my way of describing things in English. And again, I'm not a native English speaker, as clear here. So I wanted really to articulate my way of saying things so it can replicate me through automations. I do that, I fine tune it without going into complex prompts that probably will not work because it becomes too heavy. And I test it, it's working, and then I can deploy it. So it will be much more closer to my tone, higher quality type of posting that people might at some point, associated with me. That sounds like Samer or a post that Samer would write. So this kind of thing. Okay, so this is the pricing. Be aware, if you want to train it, come here, study it well, and understand what you're going to pay for training your model or fine-tuning it in OpenAI's terms. Okay, so this is the fine-tuning UI, which I was on, I assume. So let me close the threads. We don't need it. Okay, and here, fine-tuning is currently available for the following models. GPT 3.5 Turbo 0125. This is the recommended one. Interesting, okay. And even GPT-4 0613. Now, interesting thing, because I looked at the fine-tuning UI and I don't think I have access to fine-tune GPT-4 yet. So again, this is maybe something I get at tier 5 or something is just a little bit later I'm going to get into in the future. When to fine-tune. Okay, this is an important one. What is the use case for fine-tuning? Fine-tuning OpenAI text generation models can make them better or specific applications, but it requires a careful investment of time and effort. We recommend first attempting to get good results with prompt engineering, prompt chaining, breaking complex tasks into multiple prompts, and function calling, with the key reasons being there are many tasks at which our model may not initially appear to perform well, but results can be improved with the right prompts. Thus, fine-tuning may not be necessary. Okay, iterating over prompts and other tactics has a much faster feedback loop than iterating with fine-tuning, which requires creating datasets and running training jobs. Okay, in case where fine-tuning is still necessary, initial prompt engineering work is not wasted. We typically see best results when using a good prompt in a fine-tuning data or combining prompt chaining slash tool use with fine-tuning. It's very interesting what they're saying here, because what they're basically telling us, don't just jump into the fine-tuning. Try as much as you can doing, I don't know if it's a cost thing or they're just being cautious about what they promise people the outcome of fine-tuning is. And if you know it or not, there's I would call it easy. It's easy to call it a war happening between open source and closed source models. So you'll find these kind of behaviors happening. So two things key they mentioned. They mentioned chaining of a prompt. So basically not putting everything in one prompt. So chain the prompt, you'll get faster responses. And some of these things, by the way, refer to API coding through applications more than the interface, what you do with ChatGPT on the UI. But it's interesting to know, and we'll see a snippet of that. We'll have to touch code. It's not code. We have to touch it, just like something that anyone can do. So don't worry about that. Okay, so common use cases: setting the style, tone, format, or other qualitative aspects. That's interesting. So that's the example I was talking about. If I can fine-tune an assistant to speak more like me in text, that's something I really want. Improving reliability at producing a desired output. Okay, so this is basically having something much more controlled in terms of expected outcome. Correcting failures to follow complex prompts, handling many edge cases in specific ways. I don't understand that. If you know what they're talking about, give me a comment. Performing a new skill or task that's hard to articulate in a prompt. Okay. So preparing the data set. So basically, let's not go into every step of the way. I can put, if you want, I can put the comment, the link in the comment here, but not everyone will have access to the actual fine-tuning. Everyone will have access to the documentation. So this is an example of the format of how we create the training data. And it's basically message, and then within the message, there's a system role, right? And then the content. So if you know the API of OpenAI, this will look familiar. So this is basically how you talk to it through a JSON structure into a code. So there's the system, basically what you're telling it, what it should do, and then there's the role of the user. It's basically your prompt, and this is just, if you see, it's lots and lots and lots of examples of JSON formatted back and forth or multiple passed text strings to ChatGPT. These are the examples. If you want to put it in a prompt, it will be chaotic. This way, I think it's much more organized, leveraging the JSON format. So basically, you're doing it code. It's not so much code, but basically it's code. Okay, so in this example, our goal is to create a chatbot that occasionally gives sarcastic responses. These are 3 training examples. So this is one example. So here, let's just look again. We have system, like a role of the system, then user, and all of that are like assistant, user. So basically, system, assistant, and then user. So the 3 of them. Now here, the conversation chat format requires to fine-tune GPT 3.5 Turbo. Okay. You can follow the prompt completion pair format as followed below. Yeah. Multiple chat examples. So I think this is, again, this is like a multiple chat. So we can either use this format or this simple format. Prompt and completion. So, and we can basically give these are examples for us. If you read here, multi-turn chat example. And here we have a system with the content, a user, assistant, user again, assistant again. Yeah. And then, yeah, you can see here there's weightage mentioned. That's very interesting. So you're setting the weight. I think, I don't know if this, let's read this. Examples in the chat format can have multiple messages with the assistant role. The default behavior during fine-tuning is to train on all assistant messages within a single example. To skip fine-tuning on specific assistant messages. Okay, a wait key can be added. Disable fine-tuning on that message, allowing you to control which. Okay, interesting. So if you put a weightage of 1, you're disabling the weightage for that specific message if you want to eliminate it from the training process. And if you've seen in the neural network that I've showed, if you go back here, it's an input, it goes into an equation. So if it's 1, I assume basically it will have no impact on the function because it's a 1, right? And usually the way these things are calculated, it will be basically x1 multiplied by w1 plus x2 multiplied by w2 plus, and it will be a series like that across all inputs. So you're doing that multiplication and summation across all of it. So, and after that, you go into the linear equation. So if you put 1 in that place, you override the weightage that the training will generate. So as I said, you are fine-tuning the weight. If you put 1 there, the system will understand, the AI will understand this weight for this aspect of the input, I will not touch. Okay, interesting. Crafting prompts, okay. So why don't we just, here is some basically inputs on the code. So how you put it, how you load it. Again, these are, by the way, the easiest way of doing these things. If you want to do it as a through code, even if you're not a coder, I do it all the time. If you have access to ChatGPT, especially 4, you can literally copy the page, paste it to ChatGPT and tell it, hey, this is how we train through code, how we train the model. I want to create an assistant and train that assistant. It will give you the code. You'll figure it out. It will give you the code where you go online and you will need a coding environment, an IDE basically. I do it on Visual Basic Code. You can do it on things like Replit Online. So you start building those code, running it, getting the error, debugging. So you can take the error, send it back to ChatGPT. It will fix it to you. So you can do it if you wish this way. You'll have much more control, by the way. It is the best way to get the best outcome, I would say, at some level. So what we will do, I will go to ChatGPT now. I will not do code. I want to create training material, basically, that we can try it on the fine-tuning UI, and we'll see how that goes. So we have an example here, which is very good. So I assume this is the format of the JSON that you will eventually give to the training model, right? So, okay, we have an example and we have the format. Okay, this is the example, our goals to get chatbot. Okay, let me copy this. Let me go to ChatGPT. So I already opened the session. I don't know if you noticed already. So now there's a cool thing, which is temporary chat. And so two interesting things as a side note. Let me just have a sip of coffee. So two things have been introduced by OpenAI recently. Memory. So now the memory of the sessions, the threads, the runs that you have basically with the AI are linked. So it will remember those kind of interactions. Now to do that, also they've done temporary. So things where, and this is something you have to activate a memory. So it, go into the settings. I will not show it now. It's a different topic. You can either turn it on or off. And then they added this temporary chat. Just for me, it helps a lot. I keep opening these windows that go away. So, okay, it clutters your window. Now we're gonna do it here with this temporary chat. Okay, so let's go and ask it for examples for a specific case for this. So let me go for this prompt and I'll do it with you. Below is fine tuning example that is used to fine tune ChatGPT 3.5 model. Understand the structure of it and give me similar training data exactly in the same structure and what else? Okay, basically what is the training for? And make it that the AI model examples show that the model always responds with well-known movie catchphrase like I will be back. So this is Arnold's famous one. I will be back. So this is what I want. I want the AI to respond with phrases like that that are still relevant to the context of the response. Keep the training simple. I'm going to pay for it. I want to keep it simple and give me 20 lines of 20 examples basically. So I will paste here the structure. Let's see how it responds to this first initial prompt. Okay, interesting. Yep. Let's start just reading what it is telling us. So it's JSON format. You can see here. So it already got it. You know, I told it, yeah, but it already figures it out. Well, it's AI. So it's giving me the 20. Let me just start moving to the left or to the right a little bit. So yeah, it's basically telling it you respond using popular movie catchphrases relevant to the context. Okay. So how do I reset my computer? Assistant, just turn it off and on again. And remember, I'll be back. It used it as the first one. That's interesting and funny. Okay. You're going to need a bigger boat. Cool. Okay. So it's giving examples. I don't know if you can read any of them that are let it go. Okay. So it's still writing, continue generating. I think those will be enough. Now you'll have to create JSON file. If you don't know how to do that, I think you can do it through a normal text editor. Not sure. You can look it up online as well. I'm gonna do it through VB Code. I already opened one and created that file. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this code, put it in that file, and then we go into the fine-tuning. This is where it will be all these concepts I mentioned at the bare beginning are important, because I think there we're going to need to play with some of them. So let me copy the code, and here let's jump into VB Code. So this is the file I already created. You can see it here. You can see that screen. It's black for you. But this is VB code basically. I'll just paste here. So you can see now all the examples are pasted. Okay. What I will do is I will just save it. So I saved the file, and I think with this I can go back. Let's go to the fine-tuning here, and let's hit create. Okay, so base model. I think they've recommended, if we go back to the models, they've recommended, yeah, the 0, 1, 2, 5, 3.5 turbo. So let's go here. This is the one. Okay, so select existing. Okay, I don't have any existing. You can see it's a .jsonl type of file. So we click here and we can select the file. So for my case, I have to go here. Okay. Oops, wrong place. So I'll go to users, this user, I'll go to projects. It should be here. Maybe I need to, where did I put it? Where did I save it? Yeah, I have it here. So hopefully it gets it. Yep. So it took in the file. So the file is already in there. That's good. And let's go just step by step to be careful. And I'm doing it live with you. So I honestly didn't do it before. So if errors come out, be forgiving. Okay, so this is upload new. So I want validation data. Okay, good. So basically this is the concept of training and validation. So you give it a certain of prompts and responses to train it, and then again similar prompts and responses to validate. And what the AI will do, it will give the training material for it to train, and then it will do the testing. So it will give it the prompts from the testing and see what outcomes come out, and then compare those outcomes to the outcomes in the validation data that we gave it. This is how I want it to respond. And it will compare them, and it will give you a criteria or a measure of how big is the error gap. So it could be big errors or small errors. It will help you. And by the way, through the code, I think you can, and through the interacting with the API, you'll be getting feedback on those ratios, the error ratios, the variance, all things I covered in the previous video that you need to understand. So it can tell you basically, this is your KPI to decide we're doing well, I'm improving my model, it's closer and closer to what I want it to be, or it's getting further away based on the tweaking you're doing around it. Okay, so let's go and create again a new file. Let me go back to ChatGPT. Give me a totally different 10 examples. We don't need 20 to validate the fine tuning and make it different a bit in a way that will show variance in the or from the. I'm just doing something crazy here, playing around with it. At least I want to show you if we get high variance, how it shows in the system. I don't want it to be perfectly you know, well tuned that there's a very, very low error. I want to show you how we can then fix that. The fixing part maybe we'll do later, but at least you'll have a sense of how these things work. So now, just while this is working, let me go to here. I'll have to create a new file, and it will be .jsnl. Okay, I will call it validate and downloads, create the file. So I have the second file ready. It's a JSON file as well. Let me go to ChatGPT again. So it gave me the examples. This is my validating data now. I'll go here, Command V. So I put in the validating data in the same, save it in the same format, proper format. And let me close the files here in VB Code and go back just in case. Let's go to fine tuning again. And this is, I will upload validation data. I will upload new. This is the validate file. So now we have two sets of files. We have the training and the validation. Okay, I don't need the suffix. My experiment, they called it automatically seed. The seed controls the reproducibility of the job. Passing in the same seed and job parameters should produce the same results, but may differ in rare cases. If a seed is not specified, one will be generated for you. So I'll just ask it, make it have a random seed. It's basically an identifier. I never dug deep in the concept of seed, but I know it's for any convolutional type of networks, it's a big aspect, especially when you're working with a visual or image type of AI. Okay, now I will not go into these concepts. You can watch my other video. This is the batch size. You can play with it. Here it's set to auto. I'm going to leave it auto for the demo today. The batch size is basically how much of the training data you want to dump once at each epoch, which is the run of the complete data. So I can say, I want my batch data to be split into a specific size. And it's good here, they have this where you can read it. So it's the number of examples in each batch. So I can split, for example, in training, the 20 into 5s, right? I'll keep it auto here. Also, this is a very interesting one, the learning rate multiplier. The way I describe it, this is, if AI is a car, this is the engine, or this is how much you rev the engine, how much you push the engine on learning. So you have to play with it really carefully, because you can increase it. The more you increase it, AI will learn much faster from your data. But if you increase it too much, it will collapse. Like, it will start generating huge errors to a level that you cannot use. To a level that you cannot use that model anymore. Now, here is the number of epochs. Again, one of the concepts that you should know. But just quickly, they tell you the number of epochs to train the model for. An epoch refers to one full cycle through the training dataset, as I mentioned already. So it defaults to auto. So I'm gonna leave everything at auto. I will not play with it. Please do so for yourself if you have access to it, and we'll hit create. Hopefully we'll not get any errors. So you can see here it's validating. Now, number one, no errors. So that's good. So it got the information from us. It is validating the files. Maybe there's errors will come in these files. Hopefully not. So you can see here I have a training loss. Okay, so this is where I get the error, I think. Train tokens, how I know what I'm gonna pay today for doing this in front of you. The batch size, okay, started the training. Excellent. This is, you can see the seed number. It's a random number I got. Here it's showing me the steps. File validated, moving to job to queue, okay. Validating training file, it's validating the files here. Created fine-tuning job. So the job is created and it's running as we speak. So this is the part where you're gonna wait with me and keep me company. So let's see what comes out of this. And then once it's done, we'll figure it out together. Like, I don't know if I'll have to go to the assistants or just the playground and start interacting with this trained model. We'll have to see. So still fine tuning. So it's a super interesting concept, AI. And I really encourage everyone to go into it. You know, even if you're busy, you have a full-time job, I think it's going to be one of the I'm just trying to fill dead air. It's going to be one of the inevitable realities of the future. So you know, you have to work with it going forward, and I'd rather be on the part where I understand it much more than the 99%. It's not rocket science to at least achieve that level. Believe me, there will always be that 1% of people who are behind all of these crazy and amazing things. I wish at one point I could work. I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to be working with a company like OpenAI or any AI, basically, technology company. That is definitely, it would be a dream coming true for me because it's my passion. So it will bring, you know, my passion to my reality. Yep. Let's stop that conversation and let's go there to what we see now on the screen. So we started getting a visual of the fine-tuning job. So I think this will change because still fine-tuning. So now this is giving us training loss, validation loss, and then full validation loss. And basically this is 8 steps. Okay, it's just still it's training. I can actually see it's modifying the error. Error is going down. So, for example, maybe we can I'll pay more money just for you to see that. Maybe we go back and crank up the learning rate or increase the runs. So, like, for example, if you watched the episode about all of this, Teachable Machines by Google, by standard, I think they do a 50 epoch kind of run for the training data. Here, I don't know because it's auto. See, it's if you look at this number, the training loss and the validation loss is getting smaller. Now, remember, what's doing for the training loss, it has the model, like with the examples, the 21 we gave it. And what it does is it trains the model and then it gives it again the input of that training and sees the output and it compares it with the output of the training. So it's telling you, okay, the training loss is decreasing. Now it's at, see, it decreased a lot, the training model. Now remember, we intentionally told it to, in the validation, to make it a little bit far off. So you can see it's still struggling to improve the validation loss. And the loss is the variance between what we gave it as data and what is generating now. So expected and reality. And it's struggling to improve it because we know we gave it faulty validation type of data, and which is fine. It just tells us that everything that we touch on the theories behind this is 100%. Believe me, it is worthwhile for you to watch the video that I put. You'll enjoy all of this much more. So full validation loss, I think this is just a combination between both. I don't know if we can stop it, the fine tuning here, but it's improving. You can see the training loss is doing really well. Validation is not so much. See here, something happened. It like spiked again. So you can watch this on. Let's go to the playground. I don't know if I can. Okay, I can do it here. Okay, so I have it. So you can see I have multiple. Why do I have multiple of them? Let's go to the fine tuning. Is it like generating different versions of it? So this is, yeah, this is the successful fine tuning job I create. Failed, I have none because this is the first one I did. This is the one succeeded. Okay, excellent. I can copy it. Yes, I can just jump right here. You can see this button. I can just jump right here to the playground. Let's go to the playground and play with it. It's already here selected. Okay, so nice. Okay, if you don't get it, this is basically giving you the standard model versus the trained model. So we'll give it, if you remember, we created fine tuning for a model that gives you a catchphrase to respond to your messages, whatever it is, in a relevant manner. Now, this is, I think it will be considered that it's pre-prompted as a standard model, and then you have the trained model. So let's see, and I think this will give us two different responses so we can compare if our fine-tuning was what we expected. Enter system instructions. Yeah, so I have to enter system instructions. So let me put it, the same one. You are I'll make it simple. So you're a movie expert and will respond to all my messages with a well-known movie catch phrase. Okay. So you will respond with a which always is within context to my message content context. Okay, so it's the same for both of them. Let me try. So what do we do? Let's try with, are you an AI from the future? It might bring up the I'll be back thing. So let's hit run. Yes, I am. I'll be back. Great, Scott. Back to the future. That's interesting. Okay, it responded something more different. But as you see here, it responded based on the data I gave it. It's more closer to my examples. Now, let's do something else that could trick the one on the left, the standard one. Tell me what is a clutch in cars and how it works. So I'm just now, you know that when this happens, you ask it for something random, it will go off answering it. Let's see. Let's see now if this just goes and starts talking about cars and car pieces, and the assistant here does something different. Let's see. I feel the need for speed. So honestly, okay, both are doing well. And to be fair to it, the validation data was we gave it a faulty one, so maybe we're getting that error in the interface now. It's what makes driving manual transmission so special. Okay, here's looking at you, kid. Let me try one more thing. If you notice here, I'm able to see the latency on both. So interesting. So latency should be better here. It's better here. I don't know if because of the errors I put in my validation. Okay, one last question. How do mobiles work, and what does it have to do with London? Just a crazy question just to see how it responds. Mobiles use radio, okay, just like the city of Westminster, London. Okay, so it's very hard to judge this, but at least you understand the model. Now I have an active, and I think through the code I can link this training. So if I go back to the fine-tuning, I can assign this fine-tuning job to an assistant operating at 3.5. If you don't know the assistants, you will have access even through OpenAI to assistants here. I don't know if I create a new one. I hope at some point they will add, let me just drop down. Oh, I have access to my fine tuning here. Can you see that? This is what I was talking about. This will make all my assistants super powerful now, because I can generate all these examples for them to train them better than just prompting. So I can select a model and I can select a fine-tuned model. So here I think they different steps of training. Okay, excellent. So that's nice. That's nice. Okay, I will delete this. Good. So let me, any more things to show you folks? I don't think so. If you, I didn't expect anyone. It's my first time doing this. I'm surprised to even find 5 people watching me. I really appreciate the time you spent. This is going to be on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it again or share it with someone else. If you like my content, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me across LinkedIn, X, or Facebook. Everything I do is mostly focused on AI and technology. Low code, no code type of thing. I don't go into complex things in low code, no code. I help you build really complex things using such basic knowledge, because I think with AI, the barrier to do these kind of things is going down every day to a level I think very soon, if you're involved at this stage, at one moment or another, you'll be able to build really complex things that go head to head with maybe some of the developers out there. And if you heard the CEO of NVIDIA, he said a really interesting statement that in the past 20 years, 25 years, we're telling our kids or the older people in the working market were telling younger kids, go into coding, right? Now, our job is to eliminate the need for development or coding. So programming language, this is his words, I'm just paraphrasing, it's not word for word, but programming language should become human language. So with this is AI. Basically, you tell it what you want, it will create the coding behind it for you. And I think it's an interesting journey. I'm on it. I'm trying to help you ride it and enjoy it as well, and find it really easy to do. And with this, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending the time. I had lots of fun in my first live. I definitely will do it again. Have a great weekend, and goodbye.